Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my second discussions with the subject multilinguistic. The last time I have sent you reading regarding the monolinguistic and versus the bilingualistic. Now let us have a little bit review, or let us recap what has been discussed or what has been sent to you in our group chat. I think I have discussed about monolinguistic and bilingualistic. When we speak of monolinguistic, of course it refers to a person who is just using the first language. He is not using the other second language that he learned, but he is just using one language. And the bilingualism is refers to a person who speaks at least two languages. Aside from that, he speaks different vernacular languages and dialects. Because here in the Philippines, we have a lot of vernacular languages. We also have different dialects in different regions because we are living in archipelago, wherein people of different backgrounds created their own language or vernacular dialects. As I've told you, I have I I have been giving you different examples. For example, in my place, here in my place, people here are some of them are Manobos. Originally, we are Manobos, Manobo, and there are two subdivisions when it comes to their dialects or the languages they used. People here speaks Higaonon. People here speaks Banwaon. Well, I can speak to those two languages or dialects. I speak Higaonon. I can also speak uh, Banwaon, which I belong, my real identity. Now, let us continue further. Multilingualism is the ability of an individual speaker or a community of speakers to communicate effectively in three or more languages. The last time we talked about the monolinguistic person, the bilingualistic person, but this time we're going uh, to tackle multilingualism. Now, as I've told you, from the word multi, meaning you are not only speaking one language or two languages or two different vernacular language or two vernacular dialects, but you are a very talented person who speaks different languages. Well, Filipinos are very adaptable, flexible, can easily learn the different cultures, not only the cultures, but also the languages. As a matter of fact, I have told you before that my first day in Thailand was just so very difficult because they have this language barrier. But as time progressed, I was able to learn their culture, especially their language. I've learned to say that I'm going to the market. Pai talat, by going to the market. So and my first week, I was able to learn the Thai language because it is very difficult for us to move, to go further without studying or without adopting the language of of the country in which you are working. By that time, I was teaching in Thailand. Okay, I repeat. Multilingualism is the ability of an individual speaker or a community of speakers to communicate effectively in three or more languages. In contrast, monolingualism is the ability to use only one language. I don't think we are a monolingualistic person because we speak different languages. As a matter of fact, I studied Korean language as of this moment. I think it has been 2 weeks of study. Later, I will have to upload my BT teaching in foreign language, which is the Korean language. Now, they say that a person who can speak multiple languages is known as polyglot. Take note, polyglot. We are a polyglot or a multilingual since we speak different languages, multiple languages. Now, the original language a person grows up speaking is known as their first language or the mother tongue. Someone who is raised speaking two first languages or mother tongues is called a simultaneous bilingual. So, when a children speaks different two languages, they become simultaneous bilingual. What is meant by simultaneous bilingual? Meaning, if someone speaks to you in English, you can also reply in English. If someone speaks to you in German, you can also speak German. Just like here in my place, when someone speaks to me in Banwaon language, I also reply Banwaon language. That is called simultaneous bilingual. If they learn a second language later, they are called a sequential bilingual. Now, if I learn Bisaya, I learn Banwaon language or vernacular, and I also learn Higaonon language or Higaonon vernacular or dialect, that becomes sequential bilingual. Now, let's think about some foreign idea. Examples and observation. Have you heard the story or have you read the story or have you seen the movie or an epic movie which is Amadeus? I think Amadeus is an Italian Bono. Italian. I just can't remember. I just can't remember whether it is an epic story or a poem or it's a conversation between the Italian bilingual, multilinguistic actors. Majesty, the hereditary has removed unto balletto that would have a chord at its place. I repeat, Majesty, the hereditary has moved unto balletto that would have a chord at its place. Well, we do not understand. I do not understand. You do not understand what is meant by balitu or onu balitu. But it has been used in the language during the conversation because probably that person is a multilinguistic person. There is always standard. We estimate that most of the human language users in the world speak more than one language. They are at least bilingual. Everyone is a bilingual, or at least they can also be a multilingual. Now, the last time I have discussed the distinct differences between the monolingualistic or monolingualism versus the bilingualism. Now let us continue this time with bilingualism and multilingualism. There is what we call greater complexity and diversity of the factors involved in acquisition and use where more than two languages are involved. Why? Why do you think so? Any idea? There is greater complexity. Well, of course, there are a lot of complexities because as you can see, we are diverse. We are not alone in this world. The world is populated with different nationalities, different countries. So everything is complex. It is pointed out that not only do multilinguals have a larger overall linguistic repertoires or repertoire, repertoire, yes, how do you pronounce that? I think this is a French with a schwa sound, which is repertoire. But the range of the language situations in which multilinguals can participate, making appropriate language choices, is more extensive. Now, how do you understand that? Of course, in order to be in, you have to speak their language. You have to learn their language in the most extensive ways. Because in order for you to adapt their culture, you have to at least learn the language For example, if you're going to Japan, you have to learn at least their language, the Nihongo, the Japanese languages are also complex because they have a lot of vernaculars and dialects. But as a matter of fact, we have to learn every language. Just like Rizal, I think Rizal is one of the most linguistic person that we ever had here in the Philippines. He speaks different languages. Now, they say that um, multilingual learners' learning strategies differ from those of monolingual students learning their first foreign language. It is always an advantage for a person who speaks different languages, who learn another language, whether it is his or her second or third language, but it is the most helpful ways in order to fit in, in order not to be feeling left behind, because it's very hard if you do not understand, if you do not know the other language. Now, one thing I can advise you is that learn different languages. I'm learning Korean language right now. So, in paying attention to the language practices of young people in urban settings, especially in Butuan City or in Manila, we see new multilingualism emerging, meaning dumarami yung mga taong maraming alam sa pananalita ng ibang wika. Learning different languages, learning different vernaculars or dialects. As the young people create meanings with their diverse linguistic repertoire. We see the young people and their parents and their teachers using their electric array of linguistic resources to create parody, play, contest, endorse, evaluate, challenge, bargaining, and otherwise negotiating their social worlds. We need to be in our social world. We need to intermingle. We need to study the different languages because these adversities can lead us, if we learn to adapt the adversity, especially their language repertoire, or we call it eclectic array of linguistic repertoire, then it's easy for us to live. It's easy for us to enjoy because we are adaptable and we are flexible enough. We are smart enough to adapt, to learn not only the cultures but also the languages of different nationalities of different countries. So thank you for listening. Please stay tuned and wait for another discussion. Thank you for listening.